We just watched the January 6th committee present evidence on just how close we came to the functional end of American democracy, at least in its current iteration. And after watching the fourth hearing, I feel pretty radicalized about how truly acute this threat is, and also about how untenable the current political situation is. And here's what I mean. The strategy for preserving American democracy cannot simply be for one party to win every election, or else our system of representative democracy falls apart. It's never going to work in a two-party system. So we need Republican candidates who can be trusted not to execute a fascist takeover of our country if they take power. Something House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has spoken about quite a bit.
I've also said that Republican Party, country needs a strong Republican Party. They've made great contributions to our country. I say this to Republicans all the time. Take back your party from this cult. Take back your party. America needs a strong Republican Party and a strong Democratic Party.
Pelosi got some flack for those comments, but at the basic level, she's right. I mean, normal, healthy democracies don't just have one party in power always. A functioning multi-party democracy has to be able to empower its conservative coalition with state power without fearing authoritarian takeover. But as things have devolved out of the normal, we're seeing a strategy being used in electoral politics where campaigns try to elevate the most noxious, the most extreme candidates in the opposition party in order to help their own candidate win. The theory is to prop up an opposing candidate that's so unelectable that your candidate seems like the only sane choice, even to voters of the other party. Perhaps one of the first examples of this was then Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill's re-election bid in 2012. McCaskill was running as a Democrat in a pretty red state. She determined her best bet would be to run against a far-right congressman named Todd Akin in the general election. So her campaign spent nearly $2 million on an ad buy highlighting Akin's conservative credentials in the hopes of pushing him to victory in the Republican primary.
The most conservative congressman in Missouri as our senator, Todd Akin, a crusader against bigger government. Akin would completely eliminate the departments of education and energy and privatize Social Security. Todd's pro-family agenda would outlaw many forms of contraception, and Akin alone says President Obama is a complete menace to our civilization. Todd Akin, Missouri's true conservative, is just too conservative.
Senator McCaskill's gambit worked. Akin won the nomination, and just as Senator McCaskill anticipated, it paid off. McCaskill went on to win the general election by 15 points. And to be clear, McCaskill made what sure looks like a very smart tactical decision at the time. In her political environment, elevating Akin probably won her that seat, and it gave Democrats a crucial vote in the Senate. So this strategy has been seen as a model for future candidates. In fact, the Democrats basically tried the same thing again in 2016 with Donald Trump. But America has become increasingly polarized. It had in just 4 short years, and Trump, despite all of his flaws, obviously won the election in the Electoral College. And so that strategy backfired because politics changed. Suddenly, it seemed like there was no such thing as a candidate too extreme for Republicans. 2 years later, Claire McCaskill would lose her re-election bid against Republican Josh Hawley, who's in many ways even more extreme than Todd Akin was. And so you would think in this precarious moment, ahead of what many forecasters say will be a red wave election, in the midst of the January 6 hearings, what we're learning about how close we came, Democrats would not be trying to elevate extremist candidates, election deniers, people with ties to QAnon, but they are. It was Democratic gubernatorial nominee Josh Shapiro's strategy in Pennsylvania. His campaign ran an ad supporting coup plotter Doug Mastriano's successful bid for the Republican nomination. But here's the thing. Mastriano has a very good shot at winning in November. And it seems clear would certainly use the levers of power to put his finger on the scale for Donald Trump in 2024. Here's how Shapiro justified that decision on this show last month.
He has been poised to be the Republican nominee for weeks. He has led in every public and private poll, oftentimes by a healthy margin, even before Donald Trump at the 11th hour jumped into this race. I think what we're trying to do is what we're going to continue to do after presumably he wins the nomination tomorrow, and that is show the clear differences and show people what's at stake and show just how dangerous and out of touch he is with Pennsylvanians.
But it's not just Pennsylvania. In Colorado, Nancy Pelosi's PAC is spending nearly $50,000 to support a far-right election denier for the Republican nomination in a swing congressional district. Big money groups linked to the Democrats are spending $1.5 million promoting hard right candidates for Colorado's Senate and governor's races. And look, Democratic strategists presumably have a reason doing what they're doing. There's probably data I don't have access to, which shows this strategy is their best bet for a victory in November. But in a time when our democracy is on a razor's edge, it does seem like a very risky gamble, doesn't it?